Good morning, welcome to another video. It's the last day of the river season. Mortified. I've been really enjoying it. This river is in cracking condition. We've come out again this morning to do some float fishing. Apologies if that's getting a little bit samey, but got to take advantage of this river in this condition. Do probably my favourite method of fishing, which is going to be some trotting. You know, contrast it, I was thinking back to last year. It was horrendous last year. We had floods and floods and floods all winter. We hardly got to do any. So I'm making the most this year. I'm making up for it. But yeah, as you can probably see, it's just a tinge of green to this river. It looks absolutely cracking. Nice overcast sky. It might start raining at lunchtime. I've not got too long today though, unfortunately. But we'll perhaps string it out till the afternoon. Just see how we get on, really. If we're doing okay, I could probably make a phone call and get out of a few obligations, but we'll just see. I'd rather not. But yeah, we'll just see how it is. I couldn't decide where to come. I've got 2 or 3 spots in mind that I could trot. Got to be the Avon, because like I say, it's in lovely condition. And I thought, what better to come and revisit the swim where I caught my first Avon barbel on the float. I've had lots of cracking bags from this swim since I discovered it earlier in the season. I've had a couple of what were possibly my best ever bags of chub on the Avon. So yeah, I thought we'll come here. We'll give it a go. There's a chance of a big chub here and a chance of lots of chub as well. As I say, it's absolutely freezing this morning. My hands are like ice. Just walk down here. We'll warm ourselves up though by doing a bit of trotting. We just started getting the maggots in. It's going to be maggot approach. That's going to be it. Just firing maggots across to that bit of cover over there. Although recently the fish have been out and about. They've been happy to be out and about. So we may get some in the river. It's still fairly coloured. We've got a couple of foot of visibility, something like that. So yeah, quickly run through the gear. My Daiwa Tournament Pro 15-foot rod. Absolutely love this rod. It'll probably be the last time I use it for 3 months until we get down the Y in the summer, get some barbel out with it. Daiwa 125M closed face reel on there. Best reels in the world for me for trotting. Certainly when you've got a cast. I know a lot of people would argue and say centre pins are better, but I much prefer one of these. And like I say, especially if you've got a cast across the river in here. A Drake alloy stem stick float on here. Now I do get contacted quite a lot about these. The only people who seem to sell them are Benwick Sports, I believe they're called. I used to get mine from there. I've got plenty, so I've not ordered any for a while, but I know a lot of people saying they're always out of stock. So if you're having trouble getting any, I would suggest you go onto Dave Harrell's website. Dave Harrell sells a mega stick. It is very, very similar. And they go all the way from 2 or 3 grams all the way up to about 10 grams. This I've got here is a 4.8, cocked with a 4 gram Olivet. If you want to see exactly how I set this up, I'll link you to a video up there and down in the description as well, so you can go and have a look at exactly how I set this up. But that's probably enough waffle. Let's get this set up. We'll keep feeding whilst we do, and we'll have a crack. Now, being that it's the last day of the season, a couple of things spring to mind. Firstly, where is everybody? There's no one here. It's a day ticket stretch and there's no one here. Now, you might scream and shout at me and say, we're all working. Well, I have to work as well. That's where I have to go later. But I'm just amazed people have not perhaps had the day off. I certainly would. If I was not able to get out today, I think I'd have had the day off. Or certainly perhaps be out in the afternoon, finish early on Fridays. And the other thing is, this is no guarantee. We've had some wonderful catches here. However, last time I was here, a few videos ago, I was with a chap doing some guiding, a chap called Kevin. We dropped in here because he wanted to learn to trot. We did a few other bits and pieces in other places. And we came in here to do some waggler work, and he had 1 bite in about 3 hours. So this is by no means a guarantee. We'll perhaps have a move if that's the case. I'm in an iron about whether to come here or whether to go to the swim again a few videos ago where we had the 5.9 chub, £5.9 chub. I did think about going to that stretch, so perhaps if we're not doing any good here, we'll go there. We'll see, but hopefully We can have a few hours good sport here. What tends to happen in here, as a general rule, it takes best part of an hour to get anything going. And you have an hour or two of really cracking sport and then it dies off. That's usually what happens. So if that's the case, that's brilliant. That'll take us to early afternoon. Perfect. And if you don't get any bites, we can watch the kingfishers flying up and down, because they fly up and down here a lot. The bad news is I've put 2 goosanders up, or 3 actually, goosanders up, as I was walking down here, so that's not ideal. We're not in this swim, fortunately. Right, that's enough waffle. Let's get the landing net and that set up and we'll have a crack. Speak of the devil, there he goes. Didn't take long, did it? Literally 30 seconds after I say you can watch the kingfishers coming and going, and we have one fly past. No dog today either, unfortunately. She was not very happy. I left the house without her. But she is in season. And we don't want any puppies from random dogs. So I had to leave her at home. As I say, much to her annoyance. Now, I've not put the keep net in. I'm not, I was going to say confident enough. Yeah, probably is the right word. I'm not confident enough to bang that in just yet. But I'll be surprised. I'll be very surprised if you don't get a few bites in here. A few nice fish would be good. Hopefully that sun will stay in because it's up there and it will go across in front of us. It'll be tricky if it comes out. It's supposed to be overcast till about lunchtime and then it's supposed to be showers. So we'll see. Right, let's have a crack, shall we? See if we can do anything. That's probably miles too deep. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Casting a stick float is not a great idea. Yeah, oh, miles too deep. They do tangle up if you're not really, really careful. Stick float's really supposed to be used closer in than this. I should be using a waggler. I do have it with me. I might use it at some point. But I do prefer this setup, if I'm honest. Much, much nicer rod. Although my waggler rod is a beautiful rod for the money. Here we go. One cast and the sun comes out. Cool. This is very, very sedate river today, which is sort of good and sort of bad. Gives us longer trots, which is neither in or there. It does give the fish a bit longer to have a look at the maggot and inspect it as it's going past them. God, proper sedate. Oh yeah, it's a good 7 or 8 inches lower than often when we fish here. Just looking at that, there's a pallet sort of swim. It's a pallet's peg next to me. I can gauge it from that, and it's good 7 or 8 inches lower. We may struggle. I'm not sure I fished it with this little water on, if I'm honest. But usually it would be very clear, the river. I think with that in mind as well, we'll feed a little bit further downstream. Right, we'll work hard at this for perhaps an hour. See if we get any sort of interest at all. If we don't, like I say, perhaps we'll have a move if we've got time. That's gone under. Look, we've just gone literally 2-3 inches deeper. We started to drag bottom. An hour's about as long as I tend to give it before fish. I was going to say before we get a bite. Well, that's been about 3 runs through. This feels a reasonable fish as well. Unfortunately, we hooked him about 1 metre off that snag, which is not ideal from a not scaring the rest of them point of view. Can't believe that. What was I saying? Unfortunately, we're being buzzed by the red baron, so apologies for the racket. One thing about this area, it drives me up the wall, the amount of light aircraft. And now they're allowed to make that much noise. It's probably about 1.5 miles away. Well, this does feel a nice fish, to be honest. It's not absolutely beasting me, but he feels a good one. And he's not got that much flow to use against me. Oh, that's a cracking fish. Just saw him. That is a monster. Come on, chap. Here we go, look. Into the snags. Oh, I see some snags. Oh, I see some other snags. That is a cracking fish. Under the landing net. Here he is, look. Trying to literally get me under my feet. Thought perhaps we'd sneak him into the net, but he's not having any of it. Oh, he's a cracking fish. He's come right the way in, and now he's giving me an absolute beating. Now we've got him. Mouth out of the water. Oh, what a way to start. Give me the right run around. He is an absolute lump. How's about that? Was it third run through? Something like that. 4-7. Absolutely cracking. That's wonderful. Wonderful stuff. What a start. Clearly under there. Right, well, get him in there for a minute. We'll just get him there. And we'll sort the keep net out. Well, that is possibly the best start we could have hoped for. Seems to be the winter haunt. I'm very interested next winter to see if they're under there again. And see if in the summer they move to the peg further down, which they seem to like. Be interesting. It's the thing with the rivers, they're just different. Every single year it's different. Oh, feeding up there out of habit. We need to feed further down because it's going slower today. Well, that's warmed me up, certainly. Blimey. I say the only bad thing was we took him about a yard off that tree. Just dragged a couple of times that run through. We'll just shallow up an inch or two. Yeah, which may have spooked the rest of them. Depends how greedy they're feeling today. Also need to oil my reel handle. So I keep forgetting to do. Right, 2 inches. Well, so much for the overcast morning. It's not even 10 o'clock. The cloud's gone. I don't think it'll affect things too much. We are fishing to cover, effectively. We're not trying to get the fish out in the river feeding. I think it's a little bit too clear today. Although, having said that, it's retaining its colour really well. 2 foot viz max. In a river that's 7 foot deep at the moment. We will let this run through though. We'll let the float run right through. So you never know. So what we're going to effectively do is we'll feed these maggots here and they're going to sink basically in, if you can imagine, like an imaginary tube of feed going through the swim. They're going to go down and they're going to sink, I think, just about where that snag is, and then trundle off down the river. That's the idea. We're hoping to concentrate the fish in that feed, pick them off. As with trotting, as always, little and often. Half a dozen, 10 maggots every minute at the most, certainly to start with. There's very little nutrition in maggots, they're mostly water. So overfeeding the fish is not really an issue. What I'm trying to do with these maggots as well, I'm not firing them over so they go under the tree. I'm firing them so they just skirt the tree. The furthest ones will just skirt the tree. I want to get the fish out, I don't want to feed them under the tree. Otherwise there's no need for them to come out. And we can't catch them under the tree. I suspect we'll have spooked these though, hooking that one. I wasn't really expecting to bite that quickly. I was more sort of trying to get the depth. I say we'll run right the way through anyway. We can run 30 metres down here easily. More than 30 metres. Also means I'm not running a float past there quite so often as well. And we're covering a bit more water. Right, so now cap time. So a bit of mucilin on the line. Get it up off the surface. Well, not off the surface, sitting on top of the surface. There we go. Oh, here comes the wind. Downstream wind, that's going to be an absolute nightmare. Yeah, it's going that way. That's going to be a problem. That's the one reason I thought about going to a different stretch, was because of this wind. I thought it'd be going this way, but it's been lovely till now. Well, I had my woolly hat on, it was absolutely still. Now I've put the cap on, it's blowing freezing cold wind down the back of my head. We'll give this another hour. If we're really struggling, we'll perhaps go on the waggler, try fishing through the water, rather than getting the maggot down. All right, that's a bite. Oh, that was a bite. Looked like a smaller fish bite, that did. That was definitely a bite. Chublet bite if ever I saw one. Dip, dip, up, up. Oh, that's good. That's a good sign. I have to put mucilin in my line occasionally. Firstly, because it's a bit old. I've had it on all season. So all the oils have gone out of it, so it doesn't naturally float. It doesn't really sink either. It's reflow power. But I absolutely love it. I really rate it. And it's landed me some, well, barbel to over £9 on float fishing. Plenty of chub. It's never let me down. I don't use a dedicated float line, purely because I sort of dropped on this from doing some research and just thought, well, we'll give that a go, and it's been brilliant. So I've not thought to change. This does the job for me. If it's not broke, don't fix it, as I say. Well, just had a visit from the bailiff. Nice chap. He said he can't believe, same as me, can't believe there's no one here. He said it was busier yesterday, so there was 4 people down here yesterday. And again, that's another little inquiry. Well, we're getting a few little nibbles, that's good. Looks like things are starting to build a little bit. Oh, that was definitely a bite as well, that's shot under. Right, we are getting a few nibbles. Good signs. Away from that cover as well. They look like it could be chublet bites, but that's right. If we get them feeding, the big ones will soon follow. I kind of think that first one we had out, we just dropped on it. I think that was fortunate. I think he's probably just out and about and we happened to put a maggot in front of his nose. We're now having to feed them into biting. Alright. Something happened there. A float came up. There we go. Oh, float came up in the water then. There's something having a go at that. We got him feeding now. The float came out of the water and then went a bit further downstream and then dipped. We definitely got some interest now. Possibly be a bit better off fishing a waggler on the drop here at the moment. I'm going to use this. I do enjoy using a stick float, I have to say. There we go. Oh, just slowed up then. I was just thinking, when are we going to connect with one of these bites? I just shallowed up a little bit as well, interestingly. There's no monster, but it's a fish. I suspected we were getting these fellas into the game. The funny little bites we've been having. Certainly not a swinger. Hooray! It's been a while. It's been a good 20 minutes, probably half an hour since we had that last fish. And he's no monster at all. Well, that's the future of the river. It's bright there. Hooks fell out in the net. Oh, and he's absolutely chocker with maggots. Stuffed to the gills, as they say. Quite literally. He was definitely having his fill. Blimey. It's not going crazy, so I'm gonna go a bit easy on the feed, I think. We've probably had maybe 4 or 5 inquiries since that fish before we caught that one. So yeah, it's not a bite of chuck by any means. More like a bite every 5 chucks, perhaps. Something like that. And like I say, they've been funny little finicky bites, which I think I mentioned at the beginning. It's the sort of thing I expect in here to start with. And then you tend to get things going and then it dies off. Hopefully this is the start of us getting it going. Right, I'm just playing with this depth. I'm not happy with the amount of bites we're getting. So I'm just playing. I've tried shallowing up a bit in case these fish come up in the water to intercept the maggots, but that doesn't seem to be the case. So I've just gone back deeper again. We may be scraping the bottom a bit again now. We're getting the odd bite, so there's fish here. Unless I'm getting loads of bites, I tend to fiddle. Well, we're not setting the world on fire. I've only had one little knock since we've had that chublet. We've had it just over an hour. A few bites, a couple of fish. I suppose that's not too bad in the first hour. I just kind of don't feel like we're getting anywhere. I want to feel like we're building the swim. You know, we're getting more and more bites, more and more fish interested, but it doesn't feel like that's the case. Feels like we're picking the odd one off here and there. Tricky one. Like I say, I can't believe there's just one tiny little chub down there. Well, tiny, about 12 ounces only. I can't believe there's just him down there on his own. Chub like that don't hang around on their own, do they? And it's not like they're going to be clued up enough to avoid the one on the hook, like the big ones might be. Quite sure what to make of it, to be honest. Hooray! It took a while and I've been playing with the depth. I've just moved it again. We're into a decent fish, I think. Yeah, these are not very forthcoming today, these bites, but this, again, this feels like another really nice fish. Just been playing with the depth. Up, down, moving the Olivet. This one's just trudging up the middle of the river. God, they do scrap well. Oh, it's a cracking fish, that's why. You done, chap? Nope. It's hard to get a proper idea of how big they are when they're out there. Oh, he's another unit. Fantastic. Well, I think this is bigger than the last one. Or the last big one. He's certainly a good 4. Probably not quite 5, but he's not far off. Wonderful. Well, an hour and a half in. 2 decent fish, 2 4s, certainly. So definitely can't complain at that. It's been cracking. Not loads of bites, and as I said, I've been playing around with depths and stuff, trying to get things right. Because obviously, when you're leisuring, it's you're just working in 2D, aren't you? You're going on the bottom. Whereas with float fishing, obviously you've got to sort the depth as well. Right, we'll feed for a couple of minutes and we'll get back in. Well, a few more of them to finish the season would be absolutely lovely. Weather's playing ball at the moment. It's gotten a bit overcast. Wind's not blowing too much, just a bit of a breeze down my neck. Well, around my ears, my neck's covered. Right by that cover again. I'm sure they're sat under there today. Previously in here, when it's been a bit more coloured than this, they've been out and about in the river. And often you can do a bit better when they are tucked under that cover. So obviously, providing you can get them feeding, you can do a bit better because they're all sort of concentrated in one place. So a bit of an update. I've been for a bit of a wander because we've probably been an hour now without a bite. But I can't really see anything on this stretch that's any more appealing than this swim, if I'm honest. So I think I'm going to stick it out, see what we can do in here. I'm sure there's more fish in here. We've just got to coax them into feeding. We've only realistically got an hour or so left anyway, perhaps an hour and a half. So there's not really enough time to move, get anywhere else going. Assuming, it takes an hour to get somewhere else going, I think we'd struggle. We might perhaps drop on a fish or 2. But, it's a real gamble and we are at the end of the season. This peg has been good to me. So perhaps I should do what's not my instinct and actually stay put. But if we finish on the last day of the season with a brace of 4s on the stick float, I cannot complain about that in the slightest. That is a cracking result. They've been hard earned as well today. Well, the first one not so much. If I'm honest, I've probably stuck it out a bit longer than I normally would, purely because it's the last day of the season. If this was any other day, I'd have probably said, oh, they're not really having it today, and I'd have gone home. But, you know, I also think back to, I've had days certainly further downstream. I remember one occasion in the autumn where I was spraying maggots in like this, and they were smashing the surface to get to them. I got the drone up and had a look, and there was dozens, literally, of fish there. Chub. Smashing, like I say, boiling on the surface for maggots. I couldn't buy a bite. They knew exactly what was going on. They knew exactly which one had the hook in it. And it would take like an hour to get a bite there. And that's in the summer when they're ravenous. And they're competing. So, yeah. I don't for a minute think there's no fish under there. That was a different swim, I should add. But this swim has certainly had plenty of chub in it this winter. So like I say, I don't for a minute think there's no chub in there. I'm surprised we've not caught more smaller ones. They're not usually the most cautious, are they, small chub? No, that's it. Time has caught up with us. Time to end the session and indeed the season. What a cracking season it's been. Certainly can't complain at that. We've had a good session today. It's not been prolific, but it's been nice to get some bites in here again, and a couple of absolutely cracking fish, which I think we'll have a look at before we put them back. Well, they're a bit lively after being in the keep net, but beautiful end of season brace. As I say, very lively. We'll get them back. Well, I'll give them a second, just get their breath back again. That's a lovely brace to end the season. Go on, chap. Your mate's facing the wrong way. Wonderful. Sulking back into the reeds. Well, not quite the session I was expecting. I don't really know what I was expecting, but probably not to catch 2 4.5 pound chub. But certainly can't complain. That was very, very enjoyable way to end the season. It's been interesting to find that I don't think these fish are there in any numbers anymore. We'll have to find them again in the summer. Now, that's it. That's it for the rivers. Close season time. So it's going to be canals and still waters. I shall most probably be doing my usual, as in doing a bit down linear. We'll do some tench fishing down there. I've got 1 or 2 other more local still waters that I'm going to target for perhaps some crucians, some tench. Who knows what, really. We get on the canals after some silvers, like a big roach out of the canal. That would be nice. And of course, we'll be getting after the zander and of course the pike as well on the canals. I appreciate it's going to be a few weeks into the close season by the time you see this, because I've been getting out plenty lately, so we'll catch up on the videos, and then as I said, the one after this most probably will be on the canals, but who knows, we might be on some still waters. As I mentioned, I've got a few more to try. I've got some different techniques to try as well. I'm going to have a go at a few different things, but that's for the coming videos. For now, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you've enjoyed watching the videos throughout the season. Tight lines, many thanks to the channel patrons for your fantastic support. Thanks to those of you who supported me through buymeacoffee.com. And I'll see you again on either a canal or a still water.